Hello and welcome to another Deck Tech. I'm Randy Bueller. I'm here with Hall of Famer Zvi Moshshowitz. Zvi, you've built a lot of decks for a lot of teams over the years.
Yes.
Part of the brain trust of the Pantheon at this point, Channel Fireball Pantheon. What did you guys brew up for us this time?
So one of the things we found was that the biggest impact from this set was the pain lands.
Okay.
The pain lands enable you to have 12 dual lands, 16 if you get in Frisky with Mana Confluence.
Sure.
And therefore, no matter how greedy or aggressive your mana base, if there's a will and a willingness to take some pain, there's a way. So while not every, and we also figured out that the central tendency of this format was Blood Baron and Vizkopa.
Okay.
It was, there's lots of mono black, and the natural way to win the Black Mirror is to go to Blood Baron and Vizkopa.
Sure.
It's not crushing, but it's the best way to take advantage. And so you could do the old boring way of doing that, which some people like Jensen are doing, or you could make your mana base incredibly greedy, and that's where Sam Black came in.
Okay. So you followed the ways of the Sam Black, not the ways of the Huey Jensen?
Well, yeah, no. A lot of us came upon the black-white and independently sort of evolved towards a central tendency black-white from a lot of different directions. Chapin had a deck with lots and lots of tapped lands where every land produced black, and almost every land produced white. He used Temple of Enlightenment to try and get out Night Veil Spectre in the same deck as Bermaz.
Wow, that sounds like that.
So it gets even greedier than this. This is not the top.
Okay, so this deck is, we should get into start to get into the cards. This deck is a white-black aggro deck.
Yes.
Yeah, so white-black, kind of the same mana base that you can play the white-black mid-range decks, but you guys are beaten down.
Yeah, we got to get a little more aggressive. We got mana confluences in, which we'll get to later.
Yep.
But the white creatures, they attack. But the important thing about these creatures is they cause you problems.
Okay.
Soldier of the Pantheon is the only really good one-drop. It's the best option by a mile. It causes people nightmares. Mono blue gives you a bunch of life and often can't block or can't attack. White green can't attack with half its creatures for half the game because they'll actually die when you block. And it only costs you 1 mana. It also just gets you out ahead on tempo. And having a 1-drop for your Pack Rat games gives you that little extra boost where the draw that would have beaten Pack Rat does not beat Pack Rat while you're being beaten down with a soldier anymore.
That makes sense.
Or alternatively, while the Pack Rats are being generated, he just blocks. Because the Pack Rats don't want to touch anything for a while, right? You're afraid of the Pack Rats, but the Pack Rats are just as afraid of you. Until there's a lot of them. So then you have Precinct Captain, Pack Rat, and Bermaz. And the thing about all 3 of these creatures is, if you let them go to town, you can play a 1-spell game and win. Bermaz can beat a deck. Even Precinct Captain has been known to beat a deck. There are definitely games where like you're playing against a control deck, you play a Precinct Captain, you can just attack with that in Mutavault for a while and force them to respond. It's fine, and you can rebuild. Pack Rat, as we all know, often it's like turn 1 Thoughtseize, turn 2 Pack Rat. I don't have to play a spell for the rest of this game. I didn't really want to anyway. I just hope I have Mutavaults.
Just make some more rats.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so what else is going on with the deck?
So we have some bigger creatures. So Desecration Demon. We have the better demons than our opponents because we can stack tokens to tap their demons and then attack to get more tokens to keep tapping their demons.
Nice.
So Bermaz and Precinct Captain beat Desecration Demon if they come down a turn earlier. Our Desecration Demons can't be beat because they're just good beats, except by Elspeth and other such matters. We wanted to curve it out because like we needed 25 lands to make the color work. So you might not take advantage of it by curving out properly. Up to that is the big beast. You want to play Blood Baron in some ways, but cards like Ajani can't target Blood Baron. So you have to use Obstadat, which gives you a much better game against control, and also just makes you play better Magic. So you have this danger where you have to close out the game quickly. So the other trick is Herald of Torment. The idea basically was we were running into problems of Courser and Caryatid, where they would play Caryatid or Courser in front of a Precinct Captain or Bermaz, and we couldn't get through. We said, what if we can just jump over them, or get just big enough that they can't profitably block, and then we start generating tokens again.
But now, you said one of the advantages to being black-white was Blood Baron and Vizkopa, and then you're not running him. Right.
We have it in the sideboard. Okay, so we definitely bring him in. We can't run him. That's what the other people were trying to do. That's one of the things that scared a lot of people off of this deck, was we said, well, the central tendency is this one creature. We can't run it. Sam Black often, the way he builds decks is, okay, what if I don't do the obvious thing and I have some trouble with it? But work around it in some other way. And that's exactly what we're doing. We're closing the game out. We're saying, you play your Blood Baron, fine. I'll jump something up with Herald of Torment and or Ajani. Like
Nice.
if they go Bloodborne, you go opposite that, phase it out, play it, Ajani, jump you for 10 more. They just took 14. The fact that they just gained 4 life, not going to be good enough.
And then the spells in the deck are pretty powerful too, yeah?
Yes, absolutely. So we have 2 of the more traditional spells. Well, 3 right here. So we have all the traditional removal. You need Vile Blight because of Pack Rat, Pack Rat, Pack Rat. Right? No other spell properly that you have access to, because there's Attention Sphere in white-blue, properly answers someone who starts making Pack Rats and makes them cry. This makes them cry. And having it in your deck means everyone has to think, do I really want to be on this planet if I haven't used that card first? Just Thoughtseize. And so Thoughtseize has several important uses, one of which is to take Pack Rat out of their hand if you don't have one of these. And make sure you don't die to that. Also, make sure the way is clear for your Pack Rat, same as everybody else. Or just take your verdicts, take the card that's going to break up the beatdown, because I'm an aggro deck.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about how greedy this deck is. Fundamentally, you're still a Thoughtseize Pack Rat deck, right?
Yes.
I mean, that's sort of the core of the public enemy number one.
I get so many free wins because I have 12 Pack Rats. I have my Precinct Captains and my Vermondes, which can play Pack Rat if they have to. So with the Thoughtseize, I have less removal. So the one kink in the plan is I only get to play 6 removal spells.
Okay.
But that's partly because I'm being extra fun, and I'm playing a card to protect my 12 Pack Rats.
Yeah, let's talk about that card. I want to focus on this one because this is not a card I was expecting to see in the constructed rounds
You're
today.
not the only one. So we were talking about how to fix it.
I can't imagine that anybody ever plays around this, right?
No. So we were talking about how to fix it, and we had a version of like Xanth and Necromancer and other weirdness. And Sam's like, I'm going to try Vermondes and Ephemeral Shields. And for some makes perfect sense, but it took me a while to get Ephemeral Shields. But the key to this is every time you put a land into play untapped, that hurts. Because you're either playing a Cave of Coilless instead of a Godless Shrine, you're playing a Godless Shrine untapped, you're not playing your Temple of Silence. It's always ugly. And you want it to use your mana every turn. You got your 2s, you got your 3s, you want to activate your Pack Rats, activate your Mutavaults. And also, leaving mana untapped, especially a white mana if you wanted to use God's Willing or something like that, is really suspicious. As well as, because it's expensive. They know you paid for that. So they're like,
why did you leave that
Why did you leave that
untapped?
untapped? I should check. And often they just Thoughtseize your hand first then.
Sure.
Which is really frustrating. This they don't see coming, and you don't have to signal it at all.
Yeah, you just tap out and all your creatures
You have
are
a
in play.
token.
Yeah.
You attack with Precinct Captain or Vermondes, and suddenly you have this token that generates the white, any other creature that you just cast. So you're just on curve, casting your spells, and they go, Hero's Downfall that, no.
Nice.
Right, the time you're tapped out, when you're supposed to kill things, and you say no, and you get games where you're like, check your hand, oh, 1 removal spell and it's not Vile Blight. Interesting, Pack Rat, go.
Nice. That's good tech. And then the rest of the deck is the mana base, which is worth dwelling on.
Which is worth dwelling on because
Yeah,
you need
definitely.
these 4 Mutavaults, both because you need a lot of land,
Okay.
so you want to be able to get it back by attacking because you're an aggro deck, and it's one of the best cards against control, but also just because Pack Rat. Right, Pack Rat Mutavault is so much more powerful than just Pack Rat. Pack Rat by itself beats a lot of people, but good draws beat a Pack Rat without Mutavaults. Good draws often do not beat a Mutavault as well, and they generally don't beat 2 Mutavaults.
Yeah, and then you mentioned the big M15 star, Caves of Coilless.
Caves of Coilless
the
is
deck
no-
just wouldn't work without it,
No,
right?
like look at this. 4 plains, 2 swamps, and a Tomb of Yawgmoth. It's already like, I don't really want to be running 7 one-color cards. That's kind of scary. I mean, Obsidian can get into trouble, but also just Precinct Captain gets into a lot of trouble. The last round, I'm staring at my opening hand, I see Mana Confluence, Plains, Precinct Captain, Vermondes, Thoughtseize. It's like Desecration Demon. It's like, well, this is probably going to work out, but I won the game at 2 life.
Yeah, it's gonna sting a little.
And took 2 damage from his guys. I did 16 to myself before it was over, between a Godless Shrine, 2 Thoughtseizes, and a Mana Confluence. But it worked, because casting your spells on time is all that mattered. I took the Pack Rat out of his hand, because I couldn't deal with it, dumped my guys, and then there was a turn where I had to not take pain and delayed casting a spell, but I knew his hand, so it was fine.
It's a pretty good deck all in all?
I think it's a really good deck. It's going to have its moment in the sun, while you can have all 12 of these.
Okay.
And then once Godless Shrine is gone, you can't. It goes back to that was a nice try. But for the next few months, you can do this. And if you can do this, you can do the rest of it. And while the numbers obviously are a little bit early, because like many Sam Black decks that got finalized on Tuesday and Wednesday, it's really strong, and it sideboards really powerfully.
Nice. So,
Yeah.
anything else you want to share with us about the sideboard? We're not going to run through everything, but
So basically, the main thing on the sideboard is blue can't handle the white removal. Like if you just put in a bunch of banishing priests, and you turn them, you mow them down.
Nice.
Black-white, you can bring in your own Blood Barons and your own Lifebane zombies to get their Blood Barons.
Very nice.
So you can fight a good game there. Mono black, they don't even have Blood Barons, so you get to skip the Lifebane zombies. And it's all very straightforward. You've got Devouring Light for extra Banisher Priests and more freebies, because you actually have 3 creatures you can tap reasonably often. They're just there. You have Ramaz, it costs you nothing.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
So there you hear it from Zvi Moshshowitz. Greed is good. Caves of Koilos lets you play the aggro white beatdown deck with all the good black cards. Try it out. Seems to work.